What class are you? How many are you in the class? How many days do you have left to travel? When you came to the class, how long did it take you to arrive here? You know, a lot of things we deal with in life, it's about numbers. In fact, life itself is numbers. How old are you? You tell me your age, and you have to mention a number. I am happy to welcome you to our class today. I'll be teaching you one very important aspect of mathematics. In fact, to me, I look at it as one of the foundations of mathematics. Okay? So one of the 6 foundations of mathematics. Now you are wondering, oh, does it mean that mathematics has only 6 foundations? Well, it might interest you to know that the answer is yes. 6 major foundations. Once you know these basics, your problem in mathematics will be as good as solved. The very first topic here, in terms of the basics of mathematics that I am introducing you to, is number and numeration. This is the first part of it. Place values and standard values. That is what we're going to be learning in our class today. Place values and what? Standard values. It comes under the topic number and numeration. One may ask, what is this numeration all about? On the board here, I have a brief explanation to what numeration is. And it is simply the act of counting. Numeration is a system of giving names to numbers. We count almost every day. We want to go buy something, talk about money, it's number. Many ways in which we count, and that is why it is very important for us to understand the idea of numbers. Very important. As a matter of fact, if we do not understand numbers, then I don't know how life is going to be. I don't know, I'm just wondering. What do you think? If we do not have any idea about numbers, what do you think life is going to be? So it's important for us to actually know how to count. It's important for us to know how to give names to numbers. By the time we do this, we are going to enjoy mathematics, because maths in itself deals with numbers generally. To start with, we are going to be talking about place values and standard values. Place values and standard values. That simply means when we talk about place values, it's important for you to know that each place value has a standard value given to it, a standard number given to it. And the secret of this topic, take note of that now, the secret of this topic is your knowing place values and the standard value of the place values. Once you know place values, your problem is solved in this topic. And in some other topics we are going to treat, which also comes under number and numeration. On the board here, I have the following place values I would like you to know. The first, we talk about units. Units. The symbol of units is U. And the standard values of units is 1. So this unit is also called ones. In fact, let me indicate it. Units is also called what? Ones. Alright? So that's the smallest place value. You can see the value given to it. The standard value is what? 1. Now look at this 1. Does 1 have 0 here? No, there is no 0 after this 1. What it means is that in 1, we do not have any 0. Therefore, this 1 can also be written using the idea of 10. And how would we write it? We'll write 10 raised to power 0. Where this 0 is telling us that 1 does not have any 0 attached to it. Okay? So the standard value of unit is 1, or 10 raised to power 0. That's how we read this. 10 raised to power 0, okay? But I'd like you to know more about this. Okay? about these numbers. But when we move on, like when I am going to teach you expanded form of numbers, you would need something like this power form. That's why I've introduced it here. Let's move on to the second place value, the next one, which is greater than units. And that one is tens. Okay, the symbol we use is T, and the standard value is 10. Alright, you notice that in 10, 1 0 has been introduced. 1 is now attached, that is 0 is now attached to 1. This 10 can still be written as 10 raised to the power of 1, where this 1 is telling us that we have only 1 0 attached to 1 in 10. That is to say, if you have the number 10, how many zeros do you have there? Just 1 0. Is that okay? That's why it is 10 to the power of 1. So this power is actually the number of zeros you have in a number. Let's move on. The next place value is hundreds, and the symbol we use for 100 is H. 100 has the value given to it 100. 100. Now, how many zeros do you have in 100? There are 2 zeros. So if we want to write it as power of 10, it's going to be 10 to the power of 2, because there are 2 zeros in 100. Let us move on to the next place value. But before then, please, I want to say this and you can put it down. Units, tens, and hundreds. Units, tens, and hundreds are the standard place values. Take note of that. They are the what? Standard place values. So whenever you hear 100, tens, and unit, because that is the beginning, the beginning of numbers, let's say that. Now, this unit, tens, and 100, or 100, tens, and unit forms the foundation. Okay? They form the foundation of understanding place values. And they are the standard place values, because every other one we're going to see is a repetition of these units, tens, and 100. Do you get that? If you have a question on this, you can ask, please, okay? I said that units, tens, and 100 are the standard place value. They are the basic place value, because every other place value you're going to learn after units, tens, and 100, other ones are just repetition of units, tens, and 100. And we're going to see that right away. Are you ready? Let's move on to the next place value, thousands. This thousands is the same as units of thousands. Please take note of that. Thousands is the same as what? Units of thousand. So you see it has repeated units, but in the level of thousand. Are you getting me right? Good. So if you're talking about this thousand, the level of thousand it is unit of thousand, and the symbol is TH. Thousand, the standard value is 1000. How many zeros do you have there? 3 zeros. And then we can write it as power of 10, 10 to the power of 3, where 3 is telling us that we have 3 zeros in 1000. Notice something here that I have introduced comma to this number now. See, after 3 digits from the right hand side, if you count 3 digits from the right hand side, 1, 2, 3, you are expected to put comma before you write other digits. That is a rule. Take note of that. We move on to the next level of thousand, which is 10,000. 10,000, okay? You can also pronounce it tens of thousands. You see, it is repeating tens for us. So the level of thousand that this is tens of thousands. So this place value 10,000, okay? Now, the standard value given to it is 10,000. Remember, 3 zeros is already in thousand. So you have your 10 and then 1,000. How many zeros do you have in 10,000? There are 4 zeros. So as power of 10, we can write it as 10 raised to the power 4. Let us move on to the next place value, which is 100,000. The symbol is HTH. Alright, now this 100,000, the standard value given to it is 100,000. How many zeros do we have there? We have 5 zeros, please. This is 5, I mistakenly wrote 4. So let me correct that. 5 zeros. Is that okay? Now, this 100,000 is simply a repetition of hundreds. Remember I told you our standard place value, you don't joke with them. You don't play with them. Units, tens, and 100. You just have to make sure you don't forget these 3 standard place values. Because the rest, other place values are just repetition of these ones. You can see 100,000. It has repeated this 100. Let's move on, please. After thousands, if you are done with the levels of thousands in place values, the next place value you meet is million. And the symbol is N. Million, the standard value is 1 million. How many zeros do you have there? 6 zeros. So in powers of 10 is 10 raised to the power 6. Notice the way I use the comma there. You see, after 3 digits, 1, 2, 3, you put your comma. You move again, 1, 2, 3, you put your comma. Then have 1. Does that make sense? So please make sure you understand the way we introduce comma to numbers. You start introducing comma to numbers if the digits in the numbers are up to 4. And then the rule, count 3 digits from the right, put comma, do same again, another 3 digits, put comma in that order. Alright, this million is the same as unit of million, unit of million. So it has repeated these units. Am I communicating? It has repeated these units. This million is unit of million. So let us move on to the next place value. 10 million, tens of millions. Is that okay? Now, this 10 million, the symbol is TN. We have 10 and then million. You know that in million we have 6 zeros. But this is 10 million. 6 zeros here, then 10. Altogether, how many zeros do we have? 7. So as power of 10, it will be 10 raised to power 7 because there are 7 zeros in 10 million. And did you notice that 10 million is simply a repetition of the standard place value tens? Do we move on to 100 million? The same as hundreds of million. HM is the symbol, and in 100 million we have the standard value as 100 and then million. How many zeros do we have there? 8. 100 million is a repetition of the standard place value 100. So you see the level of million here is 100 million. This thing tells us that, when we are dealing with numbers, after 1 digit, 2 digits, you now start picking 3 digits as the case might be. They work together. Units, tens, and hundred. No wonder, even from primary 1, we start introducing hundred tens and units, tens and units first. As you're going to higher classes, the place values will be increasing. Okay, let's quickly rush through the remaining. We have billion, unit of billion. 9 zeros are there. If you count, you see that the standard value is 1 billion. We have 10 billion, so you can say tens of billion. We have 10 zeros there. The symbol is TB. The level of billion here is tens of billion. That is tens. Unit tens, and the next is 100 billion. We have 11 zeros there. If you count, you find out. Then this is the standard value. After billion, the next place value you now meet, the next level you now go to is trillions, alright? You have trillions. We use the symbol TR for it. In trillion, we have 12 zeros. 1 trillion. Count the number of zeros here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 zeros, and that's why as power of 10, we wrote it as 10 to the power of 12, because there are 12 zeros. This is unit of trillion. The next is tens of trillion, or 10 trillion. Check that. This is the standard value. 100 trillion, the next one. After trillion, if you are done with 100 trillion, the next place value you enter is quadrillion. After quadrillion, if you're done with units, tens, and 100 quadrillion, you move on to pentillion, and you keep going up to you have as many of them. We cannot end the counting of our numbers. Take notes. But I'm going to stop here. Is that okay? Now, the arrangement of these place values is given like this. Always start from the right. Units, tens, 100. It keeps increasing. These three are the foundation. I said that already. 100, tens, and units. So they are the foundation. Now you move on, you start grouping them in threes. After 100 tens a unit, you have the 1,000 level. You have the 1,000 level, unit of 1,000, tens of 1,000, and 100,000. After that, you meet the million level. The million level, you have unit of million, tens of million, and 100 million. All these units of this, you can just call it that number, million, 1,000. Okay, we are moving on. After that, the next one is billions. That's the next level of place value. You have your billion, which is the same as unit of billion. You have your 10 billion. You have 100 billion. And so we are moving on. The next, you have this. And then this trillion is tens of trillion, unit of trillion, tens of trillion, 100 of trillion, And so these are the standard place values. Like I mentioned already, the first three very important. Then these ones are already in thousand. This one are in millions. This one are in billions. And then this one in what? Trillions. And this is our foundation. In fact, let me write something. The basics. The basics. Very important for you to know that. Okay, we are now going to look at how we can get the value of any digit under any place value. Imagine that I give you a number, and then in that number I ask you to find the value of a particular digit in that number. What are you expected to do? So I want to teach you how you can get the value of a digit in a number. This short note explains that clearly, and it is very simple. If you want to get the value of any digit in a given number, all you need to do is simply to multiply that digit by the standard value of the place value where that digit is under. Once again, you multiply that digit by the standard value of the place value of that digit. You know, when you have any number, each digit in that number must be under a particular place value. And I've already explained to you that each place value has its own standard value. So all you need to do is use that digit to multiply the standard value of the place value of that digit, and then the value of that digit will come out to you. So in this case, you need a good knowledge of multiplication as well too. A quick example to help you understand how to get value of a digit. Let us take this example. Just assume that 7 is a digit in a particular number, and 7 is under the place value of 1000. That is to say, the place value of 7 is 1000. Now, if I ask you to find the value of 7, what would you do? Simple. 7 is under the place value 1000. Therefore, do 7 times the standard value of 1000. And remember, the standard value of 1000 is 1000. So we are going to do 7 times 1000. And 7 times 1000 will give us 7000. So, why the place value of 7 in this case we are considering is 1000, the value of 7 is what? 7000. Just do that digit times the standard value of the place value of that digit. I have these questions on the board, 2 of them I would like us to quickly solve. The first one, we are asked, what is the place value of each digit in 670,129? You see, these digits, 1, 2, 3, they are under the basic place values, the standard place values, that is unit, tens, and hundred. And like I told you, after every 3 digits counted from the right, put your what, comma, so that it can also help you to be able to pronounce the number correctly in words. So 1, 2, 3, we are supposed to have a comma here. Good. So these ones are in thousands now, and these are 3 digits, so it's hundreds of thousands. If I give you 670, how do you pronounce it? 670. Say 670. Good. So this is 670,000, because this level of place value now is already in thousand. Then you have 129. We have to find the place value of each digit here. Let us solve that first before we look at question number 2. Solution, question 1. We are looking for the place value of each digit in this number, 670,129. So this is what I'm going to do. First of all, I would get the last digit here. This thing is 670,000, so it is already in hundred of thousand. In hundred of thousand. And so I can do this. Let me put the place values. This number is already in hundred of thousand. Or if you don't want to start from there, you can simply do this. I always advise that we start from the right, the first digit on the right hand side. So starting from there, we have our 9. That 9 is under unit, so this is going to be unit, alright? Then after that, this 2 is tens, so I should have tens there. And then I will continue 100, 100, because 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. So these are the place value, 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. Good. Then under these place values, I'll fix these numbers. Starting with the unit, we have 9 there, because that's the first digit on the right. After that, 2 will come under tens. After that, 1 will come under 100. We have 0, we have 7, and we have what? 6. You see, from these, I can quickly and easily write out the place value of each of the digits. Of course, even though I don't want to write all these things, I don't want to stress myself, I can simply start writing the place values from here directly. But I want you to understand how this thing is being done fully. Now that I've written out these numbers like this with their place values on top, I can now start. The place value of 9 is unit. Then we'll move on. The second, the place value of 2 is tens. Alright, that's PV. I am using it to represent place value. The next one, the place value of 1. Let me use this abbreviation now. The PV of 1 is hundreds. Then the next, the place value of 0 is 1,000. And then the place value of 7 is 10,000. Then the place value of 6 is 100,000. And this is how simple we get place values. You see, because I was able to bring this in out, very quickly, I had to write the place values just looking at what I have there. Let us move on to question number 2. But I hope you understand this solution, right? Like I said, it's really not compulsory to do all these things. Quickly, if I ask you what's the place value of any digit here, you can actually work this out, at heart. You know that this first one is unit, tens, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. So from there, you can just write out their place values. Okay, solution to question number 2. In question number 2, we are asked to find the value of 9 and 2 in 670,129. Again, 1, 2, 3, we have our comma here. 670,129. We are asked to find the value of 9 and 2. I'll go straight to solve the problem. I wouldn't bother myself writing these plenty things anymore. We already have their place values arranged. So I would start. 9. The place value of 9 is units. Okay, so I'll now say the PV of 9 is units. Is that not so? Now, to get the value of 9, I will multiply 9 by the standard value of units. Therefore, are you following right? The value of 9 will now be equal to 9 times 1. Because 1 is the standard value of units. And 9 is under that place value, which is units. So I'll multiply by 1, and the answer is what? 9. Good. Alright, we'll move on to the value of 2 in this number. So look at this. 2 is under which place value? Tens. That's good. I can now write also the place value of 2 is tens. Now, we know the standard value of tens. The standard value of tens is 10. Therefore, the value of 2 will now be equal to that 2 times the standard value of the place value tens. So it's going to be 2 times the standard value of tens, we said, is the number 10. If you multiply 2 by 10, this is going to give us 20. Answer. So do you see? In this case, why the place value of 2 is tens? The value is what? 20. Just multiply that digit 2 by the standard value of the place value. So this is how we play around with this. Do you have any question? You can always send your question, alright, and you get a response. If you feel like you understand what you have here, kudos, that's great. Then, get prepared as we move on to the place value of decimal numbers and the value of decimal numbers. Remember, what we have learned so far is for whole numbers. For whole numbers. There is no question you saw where I wrote this point, that. So all these things we've learned so far is place value and values of whole numbers. So get ready now as we look at place values and values of decimal numbers. But remember, for this one of whole numbers, I can just pick any number, Maybe I give you a number, you can just pick any digit from there and say, what is the place value? Or like in this case, I can decide to circle any digit here. Let us assume I circle this 6. Alright, here. I circle this 6. I can ask you, what is the place value of 6? What is the place value of the digits in circle? What is the place value of the circled digit in this number? Also, in some cases, you will see they might just underline a particular digit. Let me assume that I underlined this 1. Only this one. I can ask you, what is the place value of the underlined digit? So you come and check the one that is underlined. And just that one, you say the place value. They can also ask you to get their value. Alright, now having said this, you see clearly that, well, place values and values, they are very related, but they are not exactly the same. You can see that clearly here. The place value of 9 is units. But the value of 9, when you work it out, is what? 9. The place value of 2 is tens. But the value of 2, when you work it out, is what? 20. Let's move on to the place values and values of decimal numbers.